there are some events that most people don't pay any attention to, but that in the UFO world are kind of major events. And I think the one that people now talk to each other about a little bit was what they were doing, what they were thinking when the whole UFO topic seemed to change. And that was the night of December 16th, 2017, when an online story was broken by the New York Times, and the morning of December 17th, 2017, when the actual paper came out and this story spread like wildfire. Do you remember that day?
I do. And that was interesting because, again, I was unaware of the breaking news, but my phone started blowing up with texts from people saying, "Did you see it? Did you see it? What do you think?" And I'm like, what? What's going on? By the time I finally caught up, I remember sitting down and just reading the whole article, just inhaling it. And my thought was, okay, so they've dropped this Nimitz case on the world, and it felt like the first drip of real disclosure. And I thought to myself, it's happening. Here we go. Now, looking back on it now, literally, it was just a drip, but it felt like the world was changing, or it had changed overnight when I read that article. What about you? Where were you in that instance?
Sure did. What's interesting, my family and I have always practiced what we call parachute vacations. We just drop into a city that we know nothing about, and we get on our cell phones, since cell phones have been out, and we start looking around to see what should we do? Where can we go? That kind of thing. So we had just airdropped into New Orleans at that time. And so we were in New Orleans for a couple of reasons, just because we'd never been there and we thought the kids would enjoy that. And they did. Everybody was enjoying it. And that morning, I was at the World War II Museum in New Orleans because my wife, Jackie, and I have a World War II movie called The Last Battle that is supposed to be shooting this year. And so we were doing some research for it. And one of the big things of the New Orleans Museum, World War II Museum, is that they have a film that is narrated and hosted by Tom Hanks. So that's the big one. You crowd into the theater and you watch Tom Hanks talk about World War II. And I noticed that my phone had started ringing during this thing, but my family's looking at me like glaring daggers at me, as so are people in the theater, like, turn your phone off. So I turned my phone off, right? And then as I was leaving, I open up my phone and I turn it on. And the first thing that pops up is that I have a phone message. And listen, we're going to get into this deeper as we go into the show, because it will pay off in other ways. But it's such a crazy memory for me because it's December 17th, 2017. And when I turn my phone on, there is a message there from, I feel like if we can put a drum roll into this, we should do that, because the message is from Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd of Ghostbusters and Saturday Night Live and many other amazing movies.
Who is, of course, is a extremely well-known guy in the UFO world. And just to clarify things, I had met him the month before because, like I said, I was chairman of the TV Academy. And so I went to all their events, and I'd gone to the Emmy induction of the Hall of Fame for all the Saturday Night Live original characters. And Dan was one of them. And what was interesting is at that exact moment, that night, he was standing by himself. And that's kind of wild because all the original cast was there. Chevy Chase was there. Everybody was there. Yeah. It was wild. And I was thrilled to be there. But I said to my wife, I'm going to go talk to Aykroyd about UFOs. And she's like, do you really think you should? And I went, I don't know, probably not. But I introduced myself, and I said that there were probably only two people in this entire party that knew as much about UFOs as he and I did. And he looks at me and he goes, so what do you think of the Todd Seas case? Which, frankly, is deep cut. That's a deep cut of ufology, right?
Okay.
But I had just talked to somebody on the phone about it like a couple of weeks previous. And I said, that's the guy who disappeared and they couldn't find him, but they found his shoes up in the tree. And I may even be getting it wrong now. I had it more in my wheelhouse at the time, right? And so he was like, okay, this guy does know. So we had a really nice conversation, kind of an extended one at that moment. And we were passing things back and forth at the time afterwards. Okay. We had traded emails and all that. And I had a movie at the time about Betty and Barney Hill. See how this is all kind of,
yes,
how this all happens.
This is going, yeah.
You see the strings behind this thing. So he and I had been exchanging emails about the Betty and Barney Hill script, and he had asked to read it, that kind of thing. But that's not what he said per se in this phone call. And Brent, I've never done this before because the truth is I don't save people's phone messages. But the truth is I just could never get rid of Dan Aykroyd's phone message. It just seemed, if there's a historical moment, I would probably save it anyway because, hey, it's Dan Aykroyd, who's a tremendous guy. I really liked him and do like him. But I also thought, wow, this is for ufology. This is the Pearl Harbor, the JFK, the Lenin, the 9/11. This is a big deal, right? Yeah. So
you're talking about the Nimitz, the New York Times article.
About Nimitz and the fact that the government admits in this story that they have actually been paying good money, I think $22 million in that case, to study UFOs when they've been telling everybody they don't. Okay. So tend not to play these things, but it's been 9 years, so I'm going to play it. I don't think Dan would probably mind.
Let's hear it.
And so let's just play this thing.
Front page, December 17th, New York Times, real UFOs. Pentagon unit tried to know. Ralph Blumenthal wrote it. He wrote that great piece in Vanity Fair about Barney and Betty. Do you know Ralph? He's great. Just great. You should get to know him if you don't. Don't know why Spielberg wouldn't want to produce that big time. If you've got the rights, you're very wise there. It's Aykroyd here, of course. And John Simon, how old was he? That'd be a good part for me. And then James Pease was the, you could get, Cusack or Timberlake. He was the young Air Force officer that Betty kind of confided in. But here we are, front page, December 17th, 2017. It's just wait what's coming, man. Just wait what's coming to this planet, boy. All right, have fun, sir. Talk to you soon. You see each other again. I'll tell you about the car they made disappear in front of me. Bye.
Wow. Just wow. I don't know how else to respond.
I'm not even sure, as we like to say sometimes, there's a lot to unpack there. So many things. First of all, by the way, I loved his enthusiasm for the movie. There are a couple of things not quite accurate in there for people who are aficionados. He was suggesting he might want to play the part of Dr. Benjamin Simon, who was the person who hypnotized Betty and Barney and regressed them. And I believe the young guy that he was talking about was at Pease Air Force Base, Pease. But his name was, I had it on the tip of my tongue. I've lost it myself right now. Anyway, but the one thought that I thought was, holy crap, he ends by saying a car that they made disappear in front of me. Yes. What did you make of that one? Do you have any clue on that?
I don't know. I just know he knows how to write a cliffhanger.
He sure does. Listen, I didn't know at the time. It turns out I can't say that he was confiding a story that he'd never told before at that particular moment, because this is 2017. I believe as early as 2002, in an interview, he had said he was shooting a sci-fi channel show called Out There in New York. And he had just interviewed Stephen Greer, was about to interview Steve Bassett. And he went out at 42nd and 8th Street for a cigarette. This is the story that apparently he told. He didn't tell it to me. And he says he saw a black Ford with two tall men. The plate looked pixelated to him. And then this part, he took a call from Britney Spears. Who gets to say that? I'm excited to say Dan Aykroyd called me. He's talking to Britney Spears. Yeah. Okay. And he looks back and the car and the men are gone within seconds. All right. And he goes back inside and the producer of the show that he's doing tells him his show has been canceled.
That's an eventful 2 minutes or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he described these guys as men in black kind of guys, speculated the vehicle may have been cloaked. So, yeah, a lot of connections in there.
Okay. It seems Dan Aykroyd has hijacked our episode and is trying to keep us from investigating Betty and Barney Hill and Travis Walton.
But he's not going to get away with it. Listen, the reason I had to play this is, if not now, when? And Also, I would imagine about 99.9% of the people in our audience, whether they're listening or viewing, have great affection for Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
And
who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. But in addition to affection, respect, because he was outspoken on this topic before outspoken was acceptable.
Yeah,
right.
Very true.
It was
very true.
It was fringe when he was doing those things. And so good for him. Anyway, we're going to unpack more of that in just a few minutes.
Yeah, front page, December 17th, New York Times, real UFOs. Pentagon unit tried to know. Ralph Blumenthal wrote it. He wrote that great piece in Vanity Fair about Barney and Betty. Do you know Ralph? He's great. Just great. You should get to know him if you don't. Don't know why Spielberg wouldn't want to produce that big time. If you've got the rights, you're very wise there. It's Aykroyd here, of course. And John Simon, how old was he? That'd be a good part for me. And then James Pease was the, you could get, Cusack or Timberlake. He was the young Air Force officer that Betty kind of confided in. But here we are, front page, December 17th, 2017. Just wait what's coming, man. Just wait what's coming to this planet, boy. All right, have fun, sir. Talk to you soon. We see each other again. I'll tell you about the car they made disappear in front of me. Bye.